Welcome to our deep dive into the fascinating world of fear and anxiety. These two emotions are often confused, but they play distinct roles in our lives and mental health. In this video, we'll explore what sets fear apart from anxiety, how our brains process these emotions, and why understanding them is crucial for both science and everyday life. We'll also look at how fear and anxiety can become problematic, leading to clinical disorders, and what science tells us about effective treatment. Let's begin by defining what fear and anxiety really mean and why these definitions matter. Fear is our body's immediate response to clear and present danger. Imagine you're walking in the woods and suddenly spot a snake. Your heart races, your muscles tense, and you're ready to fight, flee, or freeze. This reaction is short-lived but highly adaptive, helping you survive real threats. Fear is triggered by something identifiable and unambiguous, and it quickly mobilizes your body's defenses. It's a vital emotion that has evolved to protect us from harm, allowing us to respond rapidly when danger is near. Anxiety, on the other hand, is our response to potential or uncertain threats. Instead of reacting to a snake right in front of you, anxiety is what you feel when you worry there might be a snake somewhere on your path. It's characterized by ongoing worry, hypervigilance, and a sense of anticipation. Anxiety can be helpful, keeping us alert to possible dangers, but when it becomes excessive or prolonged, it can interfere with daily life. Unlike fear, anxiety is about what might happen, not what is happening right now. Key distinction between fear and anxiety lies in the timing and certainty of the threat. Fear is about imminent, clear danger, something happening right now. Anxiety is about anticipated or uncertain threats, what could happen in the future. This difference shapes how our bodies and minds react, and it's crucial for understanding both normal emotional responses and clinical disorders. Recognizing this distinction helps us better identify when these emotions are helpful and when they might signal a problem. Anxiety doesn't fit neatly into one box. Historically, it was grouped with depression and other conditions under broad labels like melancholia or neuroses. As our understanding of mental health evolved, so did diagnostic systems. Today, the DSM-5 splits anxiety-related conditions into 3 chapters: anxiety disorders, obsessive-compulsive and related disorders, and trauma and stressor-related disorders. This reflects the overlapping features of fear and anxiety, but also their differences in causes, mechanisms, and symptoms. Anxiety often overlaps with mood, trauma, and compulsive processes, making it challenging to categorize. In the DSM-5, anxiety-related disorders are divided into 3 main categories. First, there are anxiety disorders, which include conditions like phobias and panic disorder. Second, obsessive-compulsive and related disorders, which involve repetitive thoughts and behaviors. Third, trauma and stressor-related disorders, which are linked to stressful or traumatic events. This division highlights that while these disorders share features of fear and anxiety, they differ in their underlying causes and how they present clinically. Specific phobia is an intense, irrational fear triggered by a particular object or situation, such as spiders or heights. This fear leads to avoidance behaviors that can interfere with daily life. For example, someone with a spider phobia might go out of their way to avoid basements or sheds. The fear is disproportionate to the actual danger, but it feels very real to the person experiencing it. Specific phobias are among the most common anxiety disorders. Social anxiety disorder is marked by a strong fear of negative evaluation in social or performance situations. People with this disorder often worry about being judged, embarrassed, or rejected. This can lead to avoidance of social events, meetings, or even everyday interactions. Safety behaviors like avoiding eye contact or rehearsing conversations are common. Social anxiety can significantly impact relationships, work, and overall quality of life. Panic disorder involves recurrent, unexpected panic attacks, sudden episodes of intense fear that peak within minutes. After experiencing a panic attack, individuals often worry about having more attacks and may change their behavior to avoid situations where attacks might occur. This persistent worry and avoidance can limit daily activities and lead to significant distress. Panic disorder highlights how fear can become disconnected from actual danger, creating a cycle of anxiety and avoidance. Agoraphobia is the fear of being in situations where escape might be difficult or help unavailable, such as crowded places or public transportation. This fear often leads to avoidance of these situations, sometimes to the point where a person feels unable to leave home. Agoraphobia can be highly disabling, affecting work, social life, and independence. It's often linked with panic disorder, as people may fear having a panic attack in public. Generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, is characterized by chronic excessive worry across many areas of life. People with GAD find it difficult to control their worry, which is often accompanied by physical symptoms like restlessness, fatigue, and difficulty concentrating. The anxiety is persistent and can interfere with work, relationships, and daily functioning. GAD illustrates how anxiety can become a constant presence, rather than a response to specific threats. Fear and anxiety are processed by overlapping but distinct neural systems. Fear is typically cue-bound, fast, and triggered by clear external threats. It's easier to study in animals because it relies on obvious stimuli. Anxiety, however, is context-bound, sustained over time, and driven by uncertainty and anticipation. It involves higher-order thinking and prediction, making it more complex to study. Understanding these differences helps researchers develop better models for both emotions. Scientists often use fear conditioning to study fear in the lab. In this classical learning paradigm, a neutral stimulus like a tone is paired with an unconditioned stimulus such as a mild shock that naturally elicits fear. Over time, the neutral stimulus alone triggers a fear response. This model helps researchers understand how fear is learned and remembered, and it's a powerful tool for studying the underlying brain mechanisms of fear. Fear conditioning, several key terms are used. The unconditioned stimulus US is something that naturally causes fear like a shock. The unconditioned response is the natural reaction such as freezing. The conditioned stimulus CS is a previously neutral cue like a tone that becomes associated with the US. The conditioned response CR is the learned fear reaction to the CS alone. Through repeated pairings, organisms learn to predict threats, making this a central model in fear research. Acquisition is the phase during which the conditioned stimulus becomes associated with the unconditioned stimulus. For example, if a tone is repeatedly paired with a shock, the tone alone will eventually trigger a fear response. This process is fundamental to understanding how fears are learned, both in the lab and in real life. Acquisition explains why certain cues or situations can come to elicit fear, even if they were once neutral. Extinction occurs when the conditioned stimulus is presented repeatedly without the unconditioned stimulus. Over time, the fear response to the CS decreases. Importantly, extinction is not erasure of the original fear memory, but new learning that inhibits the fear response. This process is central to many exposure-based therapies, where repeated safe exposure to feared stimuli helps reduce anxiety. Generalization happens when fear spreads from the original conditioned stimulus to similar stimuli. For example, if someone develops a fear of dogs after being bitten by one, they might start fearing all dogs, not just the one that bit them. This process explains why fear can broaden beyond the original threat and is a key factor in the development of anxiety disorders. Avoidance behaviors are actions taken to prevent exposure to feared stimuli. While avoidance reduces anxiety in the short term, it actually maintains fear in the long run. For example, someone afraid of public speaking might avoid presentations, which prevents them from learning that the situation is safe. Avoidance is negatively reinforced, making it a persistent and problematic feature of anxiety disorders. Amygdala is a small, almond-shaped structure deep in the brain, crucial for processing emotional salience and threat. It consists of several subregions, each with specialized functions. The lateral amygdala is involved in learning associations between cues and threats. The basal nucleus integrates sensory and contextual information, while the central nucleus generates fear responses like increased heart rate or freezing. The amygdala is essential for both learning about threats and triggering defensive reactions. Amygdala's subregions each play a unique role in fear processing. The lateral amygdala is critical for learning the connection between a conditioned stimulus and an unconditioned stimulus. The basal nucleus helps integrate sensory and contextual cues, making fear responses more flexible. The central nucleus is responsible for generating the physical responses to fear, such as autonomic arousal and freezing. Damage to these areas can disrupt fear learning and expression. Research shows that damage to specific amygdala regions has distinct effects. Lesions in the lateral amygdala impair the ability to learn fear associations, while damage to the central nucleus reduces the expression of fear responses. This evidence highlights the amygdala's critical role in both acquiring and expressing fear, making it a central focus in the study of fear and anxiety disorders. Humans can learn fear in ways that go beyond direct experience. We can acquire fear through social learning, by observing others' reactions, or through verbal information such as being told that something is dangerous. This means we don't always need to experience a threat firsthand to develop fear. Neuroimaging studies show that even hearing about a threat can activate the amygdala, engaging the same brain circuits as direct exposure. Social learning allows us to pick up fears by watching others. For example, if a child sees a parent react fearfully to dogs, the child may also develop a fear of dogs. This process is powerful because it enables the transmission of fear across generations and within social groups, even without direct negative experiences. Social learning is a key way humans adapt to their environment and avoid danger. Verbal information can also create fear. Being told that something is dangerous even without seeing it can trigger fear responses. For example, if you hear that a certain food is poisonous, you may feel anxious about eating it. Neuroimaging shows that verbal warnings can activate the amygdala, demonstrating how language and cognition influence our emotional responses. Modern neuroimaging techniques like fMRI have shown that the amygdala is activated not only by direct threats, but also by imagined or verbally described dangers. It supports the idea that our brains process cognitive representations of danger in much the same way as real threats. Such findings deepen our understanding of how fear can be learned and maintained, even in the absence of direct experience. Landmark study by Feinstein and colleagues in 2011 examined a patient known as SM, who had bilateral damage to her amygdala. SM showed dramatically reduced fear responses to typically frightening stimuli, like snakes or haunted houses. She reported minimal subjective fear in daily life, despite having normal memory, cognition, and other emotions. This rare case provides strong evidence that the amygdala is necessary for the conscious experience of fear. SM case highlights the amygdala's role in both the induction and conscious experience of fear. While SM could understand danger intellectually, she did not feel fear in situations that would terrify most people. This suggests that the amygdala is not just involved in outward fear behaviors, but is essential for the internal feeling of fear. Such cases provide rare, causal evidence linking brain structures to emotional experience. Anxiety disorders often involve problems with threat detection and fear learning. People with these disorders may perceive threats where none exist, or have difficulty distinguishing between safe and dangerous situations. This dysregulation can lead to excessive worry, avoidance, and persistent anxiety, even when threats are unrealistic. Understanding how the brain processes threat helps clinicians develop better treatments for anxiety disorder. Excessive generalization and avoidance are key features of anxiety disorders. When fear spreads to many situations and avoidance becomes a primary coping strategy, anxiety can become chronic and disabling. These patterns maintain symptoms over time, making it harder for individuals to recover. Recognizing these processes is essential for effective treatment and prevention. Exposure-based therapies are among the most effective treatments for anxiety disorders. These therapies rely on extinction learning, repeatedly exposing individuals to feared stimuli in a safe environment. Over time, this reduces the fear response and helps people regain control over their anxiety. Understanding the mechanisms of extinction is crucial for designing effective interventions. Even when threats are unrealistic, anxiety can persist due to the way our brains process fear and uncertainty. The circuits involved in threat detection and fear learning can become overactive or dysregulated, making it hard to let go of anxiety. This explains why reassurance or logical reasoning alone is often not enough to overcome anxiety disorders. Effective treatment targets these underlying brain processes. Both fear and anxiety are adaptive systems. They help us survive by preparing us for danger. However, when regulation fails, these emotions become maladaptive, leading to distress and impairment. The challenge is to distinguish between normal, helpful anxiety and anxiety that requires intervention. Understanding this balance is key for both individuals and clinicians. Fear and anxiety exist on a continuum, from normal adaptive responses to pathological conditions. At one end, mild anxiety keeps us alert and motivated. At the other, severe anxiety can be disabling. Recognizing where someone falls on this continuum helps guide treatment and support. It's important to remember that everyone experiences fear and anxiety. It's the intensity and impact that matter. Cognition plays a major role in anxiety. Our thoughts, beliefs, and expectations shape how we perceive and respond to potential threats. Catastrophic thinking, overestimating danger, and underestimating coping abilities can all fuel anxiety. Cognitive behavioral therapies target these patterns, helping individuals reframe their thoughts and reduce anxiety. Anxiety often involves hypervigilance, being constantly on the lookout for potential threats. This state of heightened alertness can be exhausting and interfere with daily life. Anticipatory arousal, or the feeling of being on edge about what might happen, is a hallmark of anxiety. Learning to manage hypervigilance is a key goal in anxiety treatment. Anxiety doesn't just affect the mind, it also has physical symptoms. These can include muscle tension, headaches, stomachaches, rapid heartbeat, and fatigue. Somatic symptoms are common in anxiety disorders and can sometimes be mistaken for medical problems. Recognizing the physical side of anxiety is important for accurate diagnosis and treatment. Cognitive symptoms of anxiety include difficulty concentrating, racing thoughts, and persistent worry. These symptoms can interfere with work, school, and relationships. Cognitive behavioral strategies such as mindfulness and thought restructuring are effective in managing these symptoms and improving quality of life. Safety behaviors are actions taken to prevent feared outcomes such as carrying medication or avoiding eye contact. While these behaviors can reduce anxiety in the moment, they often reinforce the belief that danger is present, making anxiety worse over time. Addressing safety behaviors is a key part of effective anxiety treatment. Anxiety thrives on uncertainty and the challenge of predicting what might happen. Our brains are wired to anticipate danger, but when this system becomes overactive, it leads to excessive worry and avoidance. Learning to tolerate uncertainty and focus on the present moment can help reduce anxiety and improve resilience. Animal studies have been crucial for understanding the biology of fear. By using fear conditioning paradigms, researchers can observe how animals learn to associate cues with danger and how their brains respond. These models have provided insights into the neural circuits of fear and have paved the way for new treatments for anxiety disorders. While animal models are valuable, they have limitations. Human anxiety involves complex thoughts, language, and social factors that are difficult to replicate in animals. This means that while animal research provides important clues, it must be complemented by studies in humans to fully understand anxiety and develop effective treatments. Advances in neuroscience, genetics, and psychology are opening new doors for understanding and treating anxiety. Researchers are exploring how brain circuits, genes, and life experiences interact to shape anxiety. Personalized treatments, new medications, and innovative therapies are on the horizon, offering hope for those affected by anxiety disorders. Sum up, fear and anxiety are essential emotions that help us navigate a dangerous world. While fear is a response to immediate threats, anxiety prepares us for what might happen. Both are adaptive but can become problematic when regulation fails. Understanding the science behind these emotions helps us recognize when to seek help and how to support others facing anxiety. If you or someone you know struggles with anxiety, remember that help is available. Effective treatments, including therapy and medication, can make a real difference. Understanding the nature of fear and anxiety is the first step toward managing these emotions and improving quality of life. Don't hesitate to reach out to a mental health professional if anxiety is interfering with your daily life. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of fear and anxiety. By understanding the differences, the brain mechanisms, and the clinical implications, we can better support ourselves and others. Remember, fear and anxiety are part of being human, and with knowledge and support, they can be managed effectively. Stay curious and take care.